keep it real with me. Do you genuinely know the difference between an anxiety attack versus a panic attack? Did you even know there was a such difference? Yeah, your girl didn't know either. Your girl did not know either. What's up, y'all? What's good? What's up? What's up? What's poppin'? I hope everybody has had an amazing week this week and last week. I hope that you guys were thriving, surviving, doing what needs to be done or whatnot. Thank you for tuning in back to Vent AM. I'm your host as always, Raya Esther J. And honestly, we're gonna dive into it because I feel like the last two episodes were very motivational and inspirational and but this episode I just want to kind of dive into it, give you facts, and let you know what's up. So without further ado, you already know what time it is. If you don't know what time it is,
leave.
Just kidding. If you don't know what time it is, just know that it's time to vent. So let's go ahead and get it in. We're going to talk about anxiety attacks and panic attacks because your girl had two back to back. Yes. So last Wednesday I had a panic attack. Yay! And it kind of just came out of the blue, which is one of the symptoms or one of the differences between a panic attack versus an anxiety attack. That specific day, I was honestly just running around the city. I had 2 photo shoots. I was just out all day just working. And to me, it was a really big day because I had accomplished something. I had accomplished a lot of things, a personal goal of mine. And also I've reached a new level of embracing my body through the photo shoots I was doing. I met some cool people. I, made some dough. So, we're never complaining about that. But I achieved a lot that day. But still, when I came home, I was doing dishes and some negative thoughts came out of nowhere and started attacking me. And at first I was like, okay, this is weird. Not really sure what exactly is going on or what necessarily triggered this. But let's just try to cry and then see if that, helps it go away. So I tried it. It failed. I went back to dishes and I just put it to the side. And then they just kept coming. They kept coming and they came harder. Let me stop. But nah. Like they just kept coming. They kept coming. So then I actually cried. I was like, whoa, I don't know what's going on. I can't understand, but I do feel heavy, something heavy on my mind. I feel disconnected from myself. I felt like I lost control of my mind and my emotions as well, and just cried. I cried and I couldn't cry no more. So I said, okay, we should be done now. Let's wrap it up, right? Let's get it together. So boom, back to dishes. I had a mountain of dishes there for me, calling me and waiting for me. And then it got worse. It got so bad that I had the TV wall cries where like the actress or the actor, like they slide down the wall and they cry and they're like, they make that ugly face. Yeah, girl, that was me. I was all over the place. And I didn't understand. But the one thing that I knew for sure is I kept telling myself, like, why does this keep happening to me? Why do I have to keep on going through this? Like, why am I always under attack when it comes to my mental? And there was a time where I went through a rough patch 2-3 years ago, and I would have attacks every night that they would even pour into the morning, and I would wake up and have that attack. That residue was left over. So I just kept telling myself, like, why do I have to keep going through this? Like, I thought I was fine. I thought I was good. I thought, I had this under control, but why? Like, nothing triggered me to even, nothing, no behavior or no action on my behalf or anybody else's behalf should have allowed me to should have triggered something for me to feel this way. And that whole time, like, I just kept saying, like, I can't keep this in my head no more. All the negative stuff that I was thinking, I was just like, I can't keep this in my head. I need to speak to somebody, but I don't know who. I need to speak to somebody. And In that moment, I remember that when I did have those anxiety attack, they continued because I kept it in my head, because I didn't speak to nobody. I would speak to my sister JJ, but it came to a point where I was like, I shouldn't be pouring all this on her. I shouldn't, like, I don't want to view her as my therapist. And that also led into the belief, this thought that continued to pop into my head during this time, during this attack, was I feel like a burden to people. I feel like that's why I always ran from telling people how I really felt, and I try to portray this perfect, Sarai. But in real life, girl, I'm just all over the place. I'm really just all over the place. My mind is one of the strongest aspects of who I am, because it's so interesting, but it also leads me to my weakness as well, because when thoughts start forming, it's really hard for me to decipher what's reality between fantasy. And that gave me a much more reason to talk to people, to talk to my village, which is something that has impacted me. And I finally realized that I have people that I can talk to. I have people who won't judge me. And it's also my fault as well, because it's a form of self-sabotage, because I'm already making assumptions of what people will say about me. So, that was that night. For me, what really helped me that Wednesday night last week was talking to one specific person. Helped me through that whole night, but I did share my thoughts with three people overall, and that one specific person really helped me and kind of said everything that I needed to hear that night. And then two people the next day, I kind of just sent them a voice memo of what was going on, and they were able to kind of talk to me. And the biggest thing I got from that is I just kept feeling like I was a burden. I kept feeling like if I spoke to somebody, they would see that not so perfect as I portray myself to be, and they would then judge me, and then they would have to deal with me, because emotionally I deemed myself as a lot. I'm a emotional handful, because I'm always like tapping into my emotions. I haven't mastered emotional maturity, and that's just how it is. I haven't been able to master my emotions, and it's something that I want to work on. I definitely want to work on. But yeah, that was a little panic attack that I had that last Wednesday. And like I said, a couple of symptoms that arose for me that are kind of normal was the feeling of loss of control, the feel that you're going crazy, and the feel that you're detached from yourself. And that's exactly how I felt. And panic attacks and anxiety attacks have a lot of similar symptoms, but comparing it to Tuesday night this week, where I had an anxiety attack, it mostly felt like it was kind of triggered. Like it led the whole day. I knew that night something was going to happen. The moment I woke up, I just felt off, and as I continued through my day, I just kept having a lot of negative emotions appear, or negative thoughts appear. I knew the triggers. I felt it. I seen it in my mind. I just felt that I was off. And specifically that night, one thing that I did notice is that I usually get attacked when I have achieved something really big. Like I said, Wednesday night was a really big personal achievement, and then Tuesday overall was a big personal achievement as well, because I knew that I was having those thoughts, and I knew that I was having those feelings, and I decided to pour it into my music. And through that, I was able to write a full song, even freestyle the whole song that I fell in love with. That dives more into me knowing myself, because I know that my mind is a very powerful tool, and that's one of the ways that the enemy is going to continue to attack me. So I have to know my triggers and be prepared and be ready to fight, those thoughts when I do get them thoughts. But yeah, Tuesday night, that's basically what it was. All day I was feeling completely off. Just a lot going on in my mind, but I continued to push with my music, and it just felt so good. And then at night, boom, it hit me. It wasn't as bad as Wednesday night. I try to sit here and tell myself to cry, but the waterworks is not coming out. She was not trying to be seen that night, and I was not trying to force her anyways. That night, JJ definitely helped me, and she introduced this new technique to me, which is the 5 4 3 2 1 technique. But instead, she made it a 6 5 4 3 2 1, where I had to acknowledge 6 things that I can see, 5 things that I can imagine to make me happy, 4 things that I can touch, 3 things that I can hear, 2 things that I can smell, and 1 thing that I can taste. And before that, she advised me to take deep breaths. And I think that is the most important thing when you're trying to attack an attack, is ground yourself. First, take those at least 5 deep breaths in and out. You know what I'm saying? Like, go through that, because that will allow you to kind of ground yourself in the moment and get ready to kind of like prep yourself to acknowledge those thoughts and then release them. So that's something that I'll definitely be personally be doing in the case of another attack, is using that deep breath to ground myself, and then using that 5 4 3 2 1 grounding technique. After that, she told me to go to the mirror for 2 minutes, or on my camera, or my phone, or whatever, and sit there and laugh at yourself or smile at yourself. It was cringing. It was really cringing, but then it turned into like a self-motivated talk. So let's get it together. Another thing that a friend advised was, of course, most important, to take a deep breath and actively focus on calming my mind, trying to face the voices and ask them what right do they have to say what they're saying and where they're getting that information from. And I think that's very powerful, because another friend, shout out to my village, another friend advised me to speak those thoughts out of your mind, like get them out of your mind, and really attack those that don't belong there, that are telling you lies. And that goes into hand with asking those thoughts and those voices, like, where are you getting this from? Where is this coming from? You know, from there you can decipher and pick out exactly which one belongs in your head. Choose what you want to listen to, and you will know. That's why I think it's important to know yourself as well, knowing your triggers, knowing the signs, and knowing when you don't feel right, knowing when you are out of place, to then go against all those things and all those thoughts that are telling you the lies. They're telling you lies, honestly. Those 2 nights, it sucks that I had to go through it, but they really helped me to stay focused. Now I kind of am just like trying to really stay focused and eliminate a lot of things in my life, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, all those things that don't belong, that are just kind of just making me feel full, but still feeling so empty, because they're like meaningless to me. Just to kind of dive in to helping you understand the difference between a panic attack versus an anxiety attack. A panic attack can happen without a trigger. There's no way to prevent it, and it occurs when a person feels calm or anxious, and it can even happen during sleep, and I know about that. It appears suddenly. It's very intense and severe. It usually subsides within a few minutes. And yeah, that's a panic attack. Versus an anxiety attack, it usually happens as a response to a specific worry, fear, to a threat or a stressor. It develops over time and can get more intense over minutes, hours, and days. That's kind of the differences between a panic attack versus an anxiety attack, and some physical traits of actually both. This is a similar symptom that they both have, is chest pain, dizziness, increased heart rate, shortness of breath. Some symptoms for a panic attack is shaking, feeling nauseous, numbness, stomach pain, and then more of the physical or the mental aspect is feeling a loss of control, feeling like you're going crazy or detached from yourself. versus some symptoms for anxiety attacks is dizziness, changes in heart rate, you have disturbed sleep, muscle tension, you are easily irritated, loss of concentration, restlessness, worry and distress, sadness, and feeling pressured and hurried. And some things that I kind of already spoke about this, but some things that I'm going to do moving forward to combat those attacks is using that 5 4 3 2 1 tool. Of course, being present in my breath and taking those deep breaths, actively focusing on calming my mind, talking to them voices and asking them what right do they have to say what they're saying, and speaking it out, getting it out of my mind, whether it's speaking to myself, whether it's just speaking to God, whether it's speaking to my friends, to a stranger even. I need to get them out my mind, because the more that they're in my mind, the more power they have to grow. Some other techniques that can really help you is knowing those signs and knowing those triggers, because that's going to give you time to kind of take action, learning to recognize what makes you feel anxious. One thing I'm gonna be a little vulnerable here. I have been drinking a lot of wine at night, and I've noticed that. And around almost 2 weeks ago, I was like, okay, I need to stop. I need to calm down, because what usually happens is after a long day, I know that I'm going to feel some type of way. I'm just going to be so exhausted that it's easy for these negative thoughts to come into my mind. So let me just, sip a little wine to, just allow me to feel nice and easy. And I noticed that when I had that break, I would, specifically Wednesday night, it was hard for me. I just wanted a drink. I wanted just a glass, just a little glass, just a little something. But I had to fight against it. I had to fight against it, because then, in me being in high spirits, if you know what I mean, it would cause me kind of to not even question what's going on. So it would just be like a suppression tool. And that leads into alcohol abuse. And, when you're having those attacks, you really have to resist alcohol and drug abuse, because that causes just to suppress it. And sometimes it can even emphasize it and cause you really, really to be in a really bad position. Another thing that I'm actually working on, and I'm so glad that God gave me all these amazing friends, is building a support network. One thing that I struggle with, which is one of the thoughts that were attacking me on Wednesday night, was I feel like a burden to people. Like, I do all these things to people, for people, but when it comes to me, I'm like, all right, Sarai, you gonna shut up, you're not gonna say nothing, because they already got enough on their plate, and they're gonna deem you as a mess and all this stuff. But I challenge myself, when I don't feel like talking to people, when I don't want to say what's on my mind, I say it now. I say it. If I'm trying to run from it, I'm going to go ahead and just be like, look, you're going to have to run the opposite direction, and go ahead and tell them and let them know, because there obviously is something that is making you hold your tongue, and you never know. You saying this might open the opportunity for something, So now what I try to do when I don't feel like telling something to somebody, I say it. I just say it. I say it without hesitation. I'm so glad that I have the people that I have, and I call them my village, because they really do help me combat and reach my goals and everything. I think the biggest thing for me is that they can help me decipher what's my reality versus my fantasy when it comes to thoughts. Another thing that I personally need to do, that I really it's been heavy on my mind, is your girl need to go to therapy. She needs to go to therapy. She just has to go to therapy. Growing up in a Christian household, therapy was viewed as the devil's work. I'm not going to even sit here lie. I've always wanted to go to therapy. I've always wanted to go to therapy, but shout out to my parents. I love y'all, but they just shunned it as like unholy. And I don't think that's the case. I still, to this day, I ran from it. I was like, all right, you know what? As I grew up, I was like, yeah, that's right. There's something wrong with me at that point. Like, I keep asking for therapy, but I just deem myself as there's something wrong with me. which is why I need to go to therapy. I need to go to therapy. I really want to. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully we get to go to therapy. And just a few more lifestyle tips when it comes to attacking these attacks are knowing the signs and triggers. I said that, but that goes a long way because as you grow, your triggers and your signs tend to modify according to your environment and your situation and the experiences that you had. These are kind of easy, and you would think like they have nothing to do with it, but they have a lot to do with it. Your diet and exercising. Yes, we're going to dive into that another episode. And two more things is trying a new hobby or using a coping mechanism. For me, another thing that really helped me Wednesday night when I had that panic attack was writing. I was able to write everything that I felt, and it was a beautiful piece, which kind of sucks because it was like me going through pain. But the way I was able to alleviate everything that was really going on in my head, and for me to like when I speak my thoughts, it's very hard for me to be precise about what I'm going through, because then I'm like, people are gonna look at me crazy, so I can't really say what I want to say. But when it comes to my writing, I don't hold back. Like, I say what I need to say, and that's a way that that's one self-care coping mechanism that has really helped me. Songwriting as well. That Tuesday night this week, or Tuesday overall, I was just able to pour out all the negative thoughts into my music. And the last one is setting goals. Because if you're triggered by something, and this specifically goes to anxiety attacks because those are usually built up because there is a big event or something, a stressor that's causing you to go through that attack. But if you're being triggered by something, so financial problems, family problems, relationship problems, whatever it is, set targets and priorities to address them and deal with them as well. So yeah, I just wanted to make this podcast episode. I hope it was clear and straight to the point, but I just wanted to say this because I think a lot of people have these attacks and don't really even know what it is, or don't know the difference between those and how to combat them and fight against them. But like, I just want people to know that they're not the only one who goes through this. I'm telling you guys, your mind is such a powerful tool. And I'm not even telling you guys, I'm telling myself this. My mind is such a powerful tool. It's one of the easiest ways to be manipulated by the enemy, by attacking and telling you all these lies and filling your head with all these lies. It's easy for you to like find comfort in them because it's easier for you to agree with them than to fight against it, because it takes more willpower. They honestly require the same amount of energy, but it's a little harder for you to stand up and say no, you know. But I'm telling you guys, you just have to. I'm not even telling you guys, I'm telling myself this. I have to. I'm going to continue to push every day, and I hate to say this, but I'm kind of glad that I went through it, because now I feel more focused than ever. I feel secure in who I am and who I stand with as well. And I'm just so thankful that I have those people, because when I'm not enough, when I can't combat them things, not only one, I have them people who can walk me through it, but I have them people who's going to pray with me. You know, I think that's sometimes we're dealing with things beyond the physical. They're in the spiritual realm, and we need those people in our life to combat in the spiritual as well. But yeah, I just wanted to say all that. That felt like a lot. Felt like I was just rambling, but yeah, that's the episode for this week. And I hope that whoever needed to hear this and whoever didn't know they needed to hear this heard this. But thank you guys for just hearing overall and then listening to me. I really, really appreciate you guys. I do have a favor to ask. I will say that. I have a favor. If you are listening through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you're listening from, if you can leave a review and a rating, that would just mean the world to me, like the world. Since y'all don't want to sign up for a Patreon, you know, shade. Yeah, I'm throwing that shade. At least do something that is free, and that will help me a lot. Also, what do you guys want me to talk about? Like, what do you want me to vent? What do you want me to get off my chest? Do you have any experiences, any examples that you guys want me to share? Please feel free to contact me and let me know what's up. Best way is honestly through the podcast Instagram, and that is Vince AM Podcast on IG. Thank you very much. Go ahead and follow. I'm starting to post more stuff on there, more information. I'm getting it together, y'all. I'm getting it together, but I'm fighting, okay? So yeah. Of course, I got to give a special shout out to my girl Dom. Thank you so much for supporting me through Patreon. Me and her connect in so many levels. That's one person who is a part of my village, and I'm so glad to call her somebody that I can talk to, like, with no filter at all. Like, if I got to say something, baby, I'm going to tell her. So I'm so thankful for her. Shout out to her. Shout out to her website, y'all. When her website drops, oh, it's over with. Y'all are not gonna, y'all gonna ask me to shut up, honestly. But yes, thank you guys. Thank you, JJ, for helping me. Shout out to Jada. Yeah. Let me stop before I go ahead and give a whole nother. Oh, I actually do want to shout out one more person. My girl Agape. I love her so much. Okay, let me stop because this is not a radio show. You're not shouting everybody out. But yes, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode 4 of Vent AM. I'm your host, as always, Rye Esther J, and I'm gonna leave you with a little quote for today and for next week, and honestly, just carry this quote until we meet again. Whenever you notice your mind wandering somewhere in the past or in the future, which triggers anxiety, pull yourself out of there. Focus on the here and the now. Deuces.